Hey guys. Okay, so it's story time. This is Empath story time. Yay! So, I'm coming to you from a kitchen. And just kind of like I want to share some thoughts about things that are really kind of going on with all of our own energies and um, with me personally. I guess I didn't mean to say everybody's energy. So, what's happening with me? Well, I feel like I'm genuinely in a crossroads here with a lot of my relationships and one with self and my relationship to this soul path that I've chosen. I've chosen to help and heal other people. I've chosen to go through a lot of experiences, and prior to kind of working on myself, I made a lot of soul contracts, and even in the future there will still be a contract with souls that help pull you out of a place and some that push you in other places. So for me, I'm just like starting to see a lot of changes and being so sensitive. It feels like I want to help a lot of people, but the dilemma is this a point at which, like, do we help and just say, you know what? Do you take authority over that situation? Say, you know what? Hey, I'm a child of God. I bear light. My soul is empathic, and I have to intervene at this place and just say, you know what? Like, this spirit or this energy has to leave this person. Or is it like practicing self love to just say, you know what, I just got to back off? If you're having a situation with your situation, that's a situation you just made for yourself. That was a contract you chose to get into. For example, maybe seeing that a friend is going through a very hard time, and this is as a result of their own choices. Is this a point in which one can intervene and pray on their behalf and do what they can to help that person come out of it? Or, for example, witchcraft, right? Praying against witchcraft and like things that maybe people, like energies, had been going through. For example, there was a friend I had who was very chill and calm. I left to go out of town, and when I'd come back, my friend was just very angry. And I'm like, why is this all of a sudden? There was a change or some kind of shift. What's going on? Only to find out I'd been given an affirmation that this person had been manipulated by somebody else, like playing with energies. So, so working, I think, even in my seventh plane in this light of unconditional love, only working with God, there's still an energy shift. When I work specifically in theta, it does feel like, what is going on right now? Is this something I should be helping somebody else get out of? Did my friend just make a lot of choices to get into a space? And is not a bad thing to pray for them. So should I exert myself more than I am now to help them? Or do I just turn my cheek and just keep going and say, you know what? Nobody hired me right now, so I'm not going to do any work for them. Or does the work of God and the work of like healing and the work of practicing, where is the boundary? And I feel for this is the huge shift, right? So there's a lot of, I feel, relationships just like this. Also, I had an experience with some people when I was traveling. I met one and just really enjoyed just her for a second. And when we got to the island, I took a ride with all of them, and then I waited for them, and I think they were just so excited to be with each other. They hadn't even asked me what's going on with me, and that's okay. But I'm starting to see this repetition often, right? Just within the last two people I had recent interactions with. And so I just asked myself, what is going on, right? Like, I don't think it was intentional what they were doing. Oh, hey, what are you doing? I've been in a situation like that. But it was after kind of making a lot of reparations and apologies and hey, we really didn't mean that. We love you so much. Then I saw them again on the way back, and it was just, oh, hola. And then they continued talking with someone else, and then, like, as if I wasn't there. So I didn't say anything, but I was just kind of like, this is interesting. Am I being fooled by an energy that's coming in? Which I feel like a lot of us are. We're being fooled by an energy that's coming in. Then there was another person I went to a party with the other day. And it was so interesting because the first time I met her, she was really awesome. She was really sweet. She was had gone out of her way to do me a favor. And this day, she was just cursing everybody out. And you guys know how much I love my positivity, and some days I'm just negative. And it was really interesting and important for me at that moment that I had time and space to appreciate the reflection of how I can be sometimes. But the whole time we were there, I felt parts of my body go cold. For example, my hands had gone cold, my feet went cold. I felt muted, and I'm not very quiet. I think you guys know how it is. And so she began to talk and curse every car out. And I mean, granted, I know what it's like to travel in a space where, you don't know where you're going, and you're asking 15, 20 people, and they're telling you maybe 15, 20 different things. It can get frustrating. However, it was like the lack of consideration I noticed. Just toward me. She seemed to have consideration toward, like, just generally speaking, was compassionate woman. We got to the store, and when we got there, I asked, she left. We went to go get some drinks, it was hot, so we got some Powerade, and I was so thirsty and needed to get it then. And so we went to the store. She left out of the store to get something. I bought both of our drinks, and then she came back and came outside and handed me a packet of food and said, hey, feed this to the stray dog. So I was like, wow, that's really sweet. I said, okay, hey, please grab my one of my Powerades, because I set it down to feed the dog. She didn't pick up my Powerade. She just grabbed hers and went to the car. And then I finished feeding the dog and followed her into the car. And then I was like, oh, hi. And then I said, oh, where's my Powerade? She started leaving. I said, but I bought both of them and set them in the same place. And I think maybe she just wasn't thinking about it. And that's okay. And so we got into the car, and she just kind of was demanding of things, which I understand. Okay, I get it. She runs a business, so a lot of times that's how one has to communicate, like with directives. Do this, get this. Also, she has a young daughter, maybe 5 years old, and that kind of has to be the mindset and the communication style for working with other people. One, if you have an assistant, get this, do this, blah, 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 right? And with the daughter. But the way I was, it was just kind of like, I think she was very frustrated. I did scan, and I was just told it was that day. But the energy on the way there, I was just kind of like, what's going on? Why is she sucking, life from me? And it got to the point where my face was so hot, I had to roll down the window because I needed to get air. And I was so strangled, and I was looking out the window like I should have taken my vehicle. She recommended to take the vehicle with her, so hers, because it was further out. And I thought, wow, I should have taken my own. And this whole time I'm looking for any kind of bus or taxi or an excuse or way out, remembering I had something in my house. I had some incense, and I was like, oh, I have to go and take care of my incense. I love something burning. I didn't want to be around that energy. So this is what I'm seeing, at a point where clearing is clear, sometimes the discernment that we have can be good, and just kind of staying in the energy of love and the energy of God. And why are 4 or 5 people in this one place seeming to be so aggressive here, with their energy toward me? So I'm just at this space, like, okay, this is the energy I'm experiencing right now, and I'm like praying to, have motives uncovered. Is this a motive, or is this person just having that kind of a day? Do I want to experience that again, or have I learned my lesson the first time? These are a lot of the questions I know, not just me, that I'm going through, but I feel like this is a very delicate balance for a lot of us. And my gosh, it is just like, is this going to just breathe, rest, stop for any moment of time? It's a lot. So this is what I'm finding in my relationships. I'm meeting a few people, and I'm enjoying being around them. And with those, I'm like really enjoying consistent relationships, and then some of the ones that are popping up. So I really am curious about what is happening. God did not just create Earth, but every planet, and they all have their own energy affecting us differently. So whatever is making this kind of weird energy go on, to be honest, it's not just this one day. I've been experiencing it a lot, and that's not to disregard that humans aren't going through their own issues, but it's like, what the heck, dude? Like, I really just wish that, you know, things sometimes can be predictable. I'm also loving very much that things are just wild and adventurous and crazy. And in a lot of my meditations, I understand that change is a part of life. It's a sign of life, and I accept change. I also share in a lot of my meditations that, as stars collide and asteroids hit, sometimes those are just things that do happen in this universe and the energy in which we're embodying. So, not that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it is definitely a question for me, right? When you hear of somebody being hurt, or every 5 minutes somebody walks up to you needing money, there has to be some kind of line drawn. So for this, I do want to offer some solutions. Yay! Come Renegade, solutions. So the first thing I would for show recommend, and I actually got this one out of a book. It's called The Money Bible, and it's just closing your eyes and then really just imagine putting your hand to the heart of the person that you're interacting with and pulling it away quickly, and just taking 11 deep breaths and imagining as if you were standing in front of the person in front of you, like as if you guys were almost eye to eye, and just breathing into their heart space and asking what it is that they're feeling. So this is what kind of chilled me out for my interaction with the girl who drove me to the party. And I got the energy, the impression it was just that day. I was told just that day. But the energy in which she was embodying was taking effect on me. So for this, I recommend closing your eyes. And sometimes you're just going to have to, I don't want to tell you what you're going to have to do, but it can be almost like not where you have a lot of space or time to get away and really get to really shield your own energy. So that would be the next thing. Get away. Walk away for a little bit. Just try to get some distance between you and the other person. I needed to do that. The time that we were waiting for the person at the party to come and pick us up, I had to get out of the car and take some deep breaths and just breathe and understand what was her energy and what was mine. And the next is I want you to just close your eyes and breathe, and just imagine that you're just surrounded by a lot of purple. Now, if the energy is, if you are like I was feeling in that moment, very much a very strong sponge. It just immediately, it can be a lot. And for that, I recommend saying atomic prayers. Like, I am known to be saying Dr. Cindy Trim's atomic prayer once a day. I mean, like, I feel like before I leave, if I don't feel like there is a guard around me, then I feel naked leaving that day, because I do it so often. Like, oh, like anything, any energy can just come against me. But when I'm like in a prayer speaking very powerfully in authority for an hour, it does feel like, okay, like nothing gonna bounce on, like everything's gonna bounce off of me. So it does feels really nice to have that kind of covering. And the next is just to close your eyes and imagine that you are around purple light. And then I would, at this point, invite all of the angels to come in and provide you with a shield. Usually in this space, I would ask Archangel Michael to come in, and I would imagine a very blue energy. I would see the sword of Archangel Michael. The next, I would call in Archangel Ariel, and I would see a very like pink light. And then I would call in Archangel Gabriel, and I would just imagine green light. I would call in Archangel Sandalphon. I would call in Archangel Chamuel, and I would just ask all of them to completely go into charge and provide a big buffer around me. So definitely putting some sort of barricade up in every morning is really going to be the best thing for handling this type of situation. And the next is, just maybe walking away, like, from your perception. So this is a mental thing. From your perception of needing to be around people. So what, for me, it does feel like a balance, right? Like, yo, Marinike, how are you here and, wanting to do a lot of incredible things, and you haven't played today? So the idea of, oh my gosh, let me go out and play. It's true. I've been working all day. I've been like working out, or I haven't interacted with a single human being. Sometimes starts to take over. So then I feel, a pressure to go and do social things, when I could have easily just stayed at home. So that helps like a little bit. But one of the best things that I'd found in this also is to begin the morning with like yoga. I find is very open and flowy and just kind of like allows things to happen. And when I get into a very like Muay Thai workout in the morning before I do anything, then I feel, because it requires so much focus in a way that I just love to move my body, really, in a way that is, thinking about switching my steps before I kick, and then switching and then kicking. It's fun. I really enjoy that, and it does exude a certain level of self-control. So for this, yes, my dear loved ones, these are really nice tips to kind of help you along this journey right now, because Lord have mercy on the other energies that are not of God. Have mercy on those, because you know what? We're doing great things, and I've never seen the righteous forsaken. Remember that? So you're going to be all right. The energies are just kind of swirling around, and it's really normal to take some moments and to cry and to feel what that feels like, and to feel what the anger feels like. It's really nice to plug in. So yeah, you guys, thank you so much for listening. I look forward to hearing from you and reading your comments down below. God bless you. Take care.